is in the studio. We have the mics hot, not the cameras on yet. And we're very excited with the fact that Keith Smith, the bi-coastal Keith Smith, who on one particular day you may see at Petco Park, on another day you may see traipsing and gallivanting through the streets of Seattle. On another day you may see him catching a red eye from the West Coast to Charlottesville. Keith Smith is in the studio, he's in the house, and he's ready to rock and roll, and I'll tell you what, we're all very excited about that. Scott Morris, also in the house on a Wednesday, our brother from another mother, just an A-plus all-around dude. You guys can interact with the show by offering your perspective in the comment section, and we will relay them live on
Smith
air.
Get a job? Is that
When you see Keith Smith on the show, be sure to compliment him on his new sports coat.
Yeah, thank you.
He's looking quite sharp.
Thank you.
Keith, you were missed before the show starts.
Yeah, we've got a lot of business going on, but I will tell you what I was most excited about, and I texted you, was doing what I'm doing right now. I enjoy the heck out of this. Matter of fact, when I was gone, I got a bunch of texts from
viewers and listeners.
Where
are you?
Literally, where the heck are you?
I got the same.
Did you?
I literally got the same. I'm like, I can't keep up with this guy. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Keith Smith?
Where's Waldo?
Where's the Smiths? But they're back in Charlottesville, and they're more invigorated than ever before after time with family. We'll show you his face. We'll show you Scott Morris's face in moments, Judah Wickhauer's face in moments. We can rock and roll. Let's get this show started, fellas. Good Wednesday morning, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith here on the I Love Seville Network. Today's show presented by Ross Mortgage and Scott Morris. Keith Smith is back in the house. He's back in Charlottesville. He's back in Central Virginia after a summer of learning about affordable housing and ADUs and how the West Coast is managing increased density and invigorating and recharging his batteries with family on the West Coast. He's back. We're excited.
If there's such a thing as hanging out with a Division I athlete who's 5 months pregnant that runs a 10K that does a cartwheel over the finish line. So,
there you go, your daughter.
And takes us on a 6 mile, 6,000 foot elevation hike. You go, it's just a simple walk.
You went to a baseball game with her?
Went to baseball, yeah. We
enjoyed a couple of states. It's good to have you back, my friend.
Same here. I'm perspiring a little bit, so I'm going.
You perspiring? Heck, get out of town. No way, Jose.
I just came from Seattle, so.
We got Scott Morris in the house too, looking sharp.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. Doing really good. Busy, just all the same things, just solving people problems.
Did I miss the beard memo?
No. Scott and I have chosen that November is going to start in August.
Yeah.
In fact, we've done it for most of the year, I would say.
I mean, it's August. I thought if I started the beard, I'd bring the temperature down, and it works. See, we're in the 80s now.
It's been a pleasant summer, a rainy summer.
Great.
Not only does Scott Morris make mortgage dreams happen, but he makes the beard look damn good.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen Keith Smith this tan recently?
Oh, come on now. This was all work. Maybe a little bit of play. Getting to enjoy
Which part of that do you believe there, Scott Morris?
I talked to him while he's out there. There's a little both.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a seminar or a convention in San Diego. Learned about market trends, which is great. We do this every year. Haven't done it for 2 years because of COVID. And
Brian Buffini, right?
Brian Buffini, yeah. Took a flight up to Seattle. A little drive down to Portland. I was excited. It's kind of wrapping up a God, it started in 2018, a cohort that was part of that the city actually funded using
Right.
auxiliary dwelling units for affordable housing in missing middle, and we toured a bunch of units, and it was great to see that actually come. So it can be done, folks. It needs a little bit of devils in the details, as Diantha McKeel has told me a couple of times about this. But yeah, it can be done. It was pretty awesome stuff.
A lot of news since you've been gone.
Oh, really?
Donna Price no longer running for state delegate. Donna Price no longer running for board of supervisors.
I did not know that.
That's some news. She announced late last week that she is not running for state delegate. More news with students returning to school. Scott's got kids. I have a child. So that's...
And the students are back in a big way, because we got in like at 30 last night or this morning on it, because all the flights were disastrous. Don't fly, folks. It's crazy.
It's crazy time to be in travel. The reason I bring back children in school, Charlottesville City Schools start, I believe, in roughly a week, less than a week, is parents get some normalcy in their lives, and we'll see what that does to the housing market. The anticipation, potentially, and I'll throw this to Scott, the anticipation is with the kids in school, the parents back at work, and summer travel over, that we may see a little bit of momentum.
I'm seeing momentum right now.
Okay, here we go.
It's busy. We're applications are up. Contrary to what I'm seeing run as just above the banner there, mortgage demand hits 22-year low. We're seeing a lot of people who hey, here's what we want to do. Does this work? And agents going, hey, this last minute, let's go get this done. So
yeah, our phone's been ringing off the hook, and texts and emails while we've been gone. And the great news is we've got an awesome team, an awesome little brokerage over there at Yes Realty Partners, and we're able to get agents over there to help them pretty quickly. But I think what you're starting to see is this movement a little bit. I've actually printed out a couple of things about new construction. I think that's the problem. That's
Do we want to go from the Home Builders Association, where they're saying we're essentially in a housing recession?
From a builder's perspective.
From a builder's perspective,
Yeah,
you saw that?
Yeah, I was just reading it that their confidence falls and sellers' units are down. But let's stay on existing a little bit.
Please.
On that end of it, the reality of it is, I think what's happening now is the normalcy is kind of creeping back into the market on that end of it. And it's something we've all been predicting for quite some time. But people that we're starting to see listings pick up. And I think the comment is, well, now I can buy something, right? That seems to be the theme of the conversation.
I would agree with that. From the builder side, and this is a little different. I work with someone who they are mid-size, or they're kind of probably big local for numbers, but like definitely a smaller builder. They do everything turnkey, meaning that they're going to build the house and sell it to the client at the end. There's enough money involved there to where they don't want to have to wait on a construction loan. They don't want to be at the beck and call for somebody else. And their only obstacle at the moment has been finding land is getting a little more difficult for them to do what they do. It has nothing to do with their level of demand. They're still out there building, selling, and turning them over.
Are you seeing specs though?
I mean, that's essentially what they do.
Yeah?
They go out, build a house, and they're not having huge levels of concern. The only concern is what some of the cost for land is, and availability, and then trying to get some of it divided through the red tape of local county ordinances.
We touched on this earlier in the week on the I Love CVille show. The National Association of Home Builders, their sentiment on how they feel housing is going. This is new construction. It turned negative. And we mentioned that earlier in the week. That's the 8th straight decline, perhaps locally a little more protected and insulated. Some of the folks we're working on site have seen some starts. You grimace, you're not seeing the starts, is what that grimace tells me.
No, not necessarily the starts. I think back to Scott's point, it's just a lack of dirt inventory. And I think with what has happened and with the local builders, anyway, from my conversations with Greg Slater, who's really an expert at this, is, the SFDs, the single-family detachers, are doing okay. It's the townhomes, because of the interest rates climbing up, have really kicked that buyer out of it. So they're trying to adjust the product type. I know, because we've got a couple projects I'm helping some folks with, where there's going to be townhomes in the 250, 350 range, which is something more affordable, right? Instead of a $500,000
and
range.
realistic for what you should,
Yeah.
It's a whole nother, I try not to drive that point, beat that dead horse, but yeah.
Daniel Pettit, who watches the program often, has been a huge fan of the attached product because of the increased density per acre and the affordability of the attached product.
Yeah, but maybe this is my first day back after a couple hours, and I'm already going to start trouble. But you got to get past this NIMBY mentality, right? And part of the success.
We're seeing it north of town. There's townhomes there.
They are,
right?
But those are projects that have been through the process
Good
long time ago. Like some of them, 10 years ago. Like North Point, I believe, was well over 10 years in the making.
Scott Morris drives by North Point, coming to the studio. Massive
good.
Development.
And then, and before that, before you even get to North Point, you get that fleet of apartments that's been built up there that my initial thought was who's going to move into these, and then I talked to agents and they're like, yeah,
they're full up.
Yeah,
full up.
Bonkers.
Well, that's kind of what's happening here, right? So, interest rate. Look, the inflation came in at 10 today or yesterday or something. I think I saw that, which is we've been talking about that for quite some time, that, if anything is going to have a huge impact is inflation, it's going to have a huge impact on the rental market, because, I'm just seeing rental numbers go up as far as beating inflation on the purchase side. And I think that's why you're seeing this kind of move forward here. And I'm going to do a quick search while you guys are talking, just to find out what's been happening in the last few days.
And you go ahead on this, Scott. Talk to us about what he's saying, the response you're feeling at the desk at your office.
So this kind of what in the theme of where Keith's going. Your 30-year fixed mortgage prevents you from your landlord a year from now saying, "Hey, we're increasing your rent again," and that's a fixed payment in your life. You're going to deal with possibly some, depending on your level of claims, your homeowner's insurance could change. The government's going to, could increase taxes. They, in theory, could decrease taxes. That's a thing that happens occasionally.
Did you actually say that?
It happens. Some places, and that by itself, it's kind of what we all coach to. It's you're building equity in a home that's yours, and versus paying your landlord's rent at an ever increasing rate. That's the real danger there.
Well said. Well said. That's something that needs to get out there as much as possible, and we'll cut that into a sizzle reel. You'll hear that throughout the week. He regularly drops content and knowledge on the Culpeper Community Spotlight, so we encourage you to follow that group on Facebook. Keith has done a little reconnaissance on how
not quite there yet, sir. Not quite there yet. But to that point, we've been talking about this all the time. That the best way to hedge against inflation is a 30-year mortgage.
So we'll throw this to you guys. We have where are rates now? Where are we at with the 30 fixed? Good credit.
Depending on your product and exactly, you could be in the 4s, low 5s. So,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean 4s and low 5s.
Yeah.
Do you expect, as we've been talking and as Keith alluded to, that this fall we'll see more buyer interest in the market, because the houses are there?
So that's what I'm saying. I think buyer interest is coming back. They're seeing more inventory. It's creating more activity, and that's the direction that we're heading. I do think I think we're in a good place now. All right. So this is showing the 30-year fixed at 5.25, 5.25.
But your credit score kind of really controls
yeah.
that.
So and that's probably
You might want to talk about why
that's an
that
average,
is.
and product matters as well. So if you're conventional and putting 20% down, that actually may not price as well as if you're putting 10% down. And the reason for that is from an investor perspective, you're still carrying mortgage insurance at the 10% versus 20. So if the default happens at 20%, then they're not getting paid. Versus there's still mortgage insurance to lean back on, and an FHA or a VA product may actually give you a slightly better rate because those are insured or guaranteed by the government. So if the borrower were to default, then the investor's getting paid some of their money back, on top of being a property owner, which they don't want to be.
We've been traveling, so I haven't really done a lot of deep dives, but I'm just looking at my market monitor on my laptop, which is last 7 days. So in our car footprint, which is the 6 jurisdictions, 57 homes came on the market, 88 went in pending in the last 7 days, 90 sold. Interesting number was the 50 price change, and while you guys are chatting about that, I'm going to take a look at, are some of them up or down? I think you're starting to see.
Well, you see price reductions, not just the price reductions, but the folks we're working alongside are seeing contract cancellations, and that's with the new construction.
Yeah, so again, I don't want to mix new construction and I don't think you're seeing a lot of contract cancellation.
Not with existing.
Well, there is some of it because what's happening.
Someone got priced out of the deal when the rates went up.
Well, if they were using Scott, that wouldn't happen because he'd lock the rates in right. You do the lock and shop scenario, but some of them that have not.
So I will say that I think we're in a bit of a dip right now as far as rates. I think we're gonna get closer to that, closer to 6 again in the next, probably 90 days.
So a point increase in the next 90 days.
3/4 of a point, yeah. So again, I'm saying closer to. But I see that as the direction that I think we're going to trend for a little while, and then we'll come back.
Well, you got Powell in September with an expected at least half point increase.
Yeah, but that again, that actually
not a direct correlation.
Not a direct correlation,
Yeah.
and typically when you see immediately after that, everybody boogeyman freaks out. But so there's some buyback in a bond.
It dips shortly.
It dips right after, and then you'll see it stretch and grow from there. And I think that's about where we are. I think as we kind of go into that, we're gonna see things kind of tick up, steadily over until we're still battling this whole inflation recession thing, and I talk about that over and over again. But those are the two things that are the push-pull that drives activity in the bond market. And if inflation is the bad news, then sell off in the bond market, worse for mortgage rates. Recession's the trending word. Buy back into the bond market, good for mortgage rates. But I think that over the next 90 days, we're going to see a steady kind of march upwards in rates. Again, a lot of back and forth. There'll be good days and bad days. But I think that's what we look forward to for the next 3 months.
Neil Williamson says hello.
Hey, Neil, hello. And hey, shout out to Neil. Please support Neil. Yona and I support. We're going to throw a little extra money his way. He needs it. He does wonderful things with
Free Enterprise Forum.
Free Enterprise Forum. Please do that. Maybe somebody can drop in the link. Maybe Neil can drop it in there for those who are watching it. Please support him. Please support him. My fellow real estate agents out there, please support him. Without Neil, we wouldn't be getting the information that we get.
Well said. Well said, Keith. Jump in here.
So while you guys were chatting, I just did a quick look at Lake Monticello. Anybody want to take a guess?
How many actives?
How many actives?
25.
Guess again.
Actives. Guess
Lower. It's lower than 25.
All right, then I'll say, well, you tipped me off there. Then I'll go 15.
You're closer.
What's the number?
12.
How many paper houses?
So I took that one out.
Okay, so 12
So there's
existing.
13. There's 13 homes listed at Lake Mont, and the reason we keep on doing that, at least I do anyway, it's an easy footprint.
Yeah,
45.
and you live there.
It's 4,000 homes.
4,300.
It's a great indicator of kind
The
of
market.
where we are.
The market.
Lake Monticello is a great indicator. I love that neighborhood. Throw this to you. How many below 250?
Okay,
I'll help here. I see one on Jefferson Drive, 245.
that's it.
That's the only one. You got a couple 260s.
Couple 260,
So if you're looking for a first-time home, if you're looking for a house to buy,
under 300.
first you're going to do it through Yes Realty Partners, and it's going to get financed through
By-
Ross Mortgage and Scott Morris.
there you go.
That's
Well
the way to
done.
do it, okay? But if you're looking for a house to buy, Scott, I'll throw this to you. People talking about Central Virginia, you can't buy a first-time home, okay? You got Pinehurst Road, 289K, Wisteria Way, 299, 586 Jefferson, 245, 13 Riverside, 260. You got another one on Jefferson, 260. You got one on Briarwood, 296, Scott.
Did you notice that 260 was at 40 days on
I
market?
mean, we have buku in the 200s.
So 36 are pending. So what I did is I did a quick look-see what's going on so far this quarter, which is a
Good
month.
use of the word look-ski.
Look-see?
Yeah, I like that.
Look-see.
I like that.
Okay, it's the coffee. It's
I like
working.
it.
It's the coughing and 2 hours of sleep. And a little jet lag kicked in. So I just did a look-see from the 1st of July to today. So these are the 13 homes. One of them is a new build. There's 36 pending, and then 31 sold.
This is at the lake?
This is at the lake.
Damn.
This is just the lake. So the median on the solds from the last 45 days is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,000 square feet. 5 days is the median days on market. 335. A list at 339, sold at 335. So they're just selling a little bit under list price.
I'll ask you guys the same question I asked Nikki and Carrie on Monday. Carrie is a huge fan of you, by the way. So that multiple
Good dude.
times.
Good dude.
And Kevin Yancey says, welcome back, Keith, and good morning, Scott and Jerry.
Hey, Kevin.
Travis and Danville says, welcome back, Keith.
Hey, Travis. Good stuff you're doing out there, brother. I've been tracking it.
Here's the question I'm going to ask you. The first-time home buyer, is it more affordable, or is it easier for the first-time home buyer to buy a house now? Or was it easier during the pandemic when rates were at generational historical lows?
That's a
So
great
it depends
question.
on where we start. So when we went into it in the beginning of the pandemic era, the steroid era, it was easier through the first 12 months.
So I got mine in March 2020, and I can attest to that.
Yes.
That was when the whole freaking world was collapsing. And people were like, nothing is going to sell. You're getting fire sales then.
And you saw an opportunity.
And then so from March 2020 to March 2021, it was the sweet spot for the first-time buyer. From March 2021 to March 2022, that's where the pain came. Because, and the reason for that was the inventory.
But it's interesting, the inventory the volume of inventory really hasn't changed since then as I'm looking at it. What it is the buyer pool has changed.
So when we went, I'm gonna challenge you on that for the first, for at least through the first
I'll take
6
a nap.
months. It may have gotten tighter from August 2020 through March 2021, but I'm telling you from March 2020 to August, there was more inventory out there at that point, and then it narrowed from there.
It narrowed because people got more confident with COVID, and there was less fear. That first year, we were scared to even wear our clothes inside our house. And then we started realizing, hey, we can manage this, and then people started going out and buying stuff. And then it got, as Scott outlined, the second half of COVID got freaking bananas.
So we were talking in 2019 about inventory challenges. Like, gosh, wouldn't it be great if we had more homes to sell? So prior to the pandemic, this was already a thing, and
That's exactly right.
As the market became hotter or better for a buyer to go out and make these purchases with low interest rates. We went in and scraped more inventory off the board. And it made it more difficult on top of that with the number of people who were refinancing at low rates in order to push that inventory back on the market. And I've said that humans have, short attention span. It took we're probably 6 months later than I thought it would be for them to get there, but I've got plenty of people who had purchased during that time period who are kind of like, gosh, got a lot of equity. Wouldn't it be nice if we could go out and buy something bigger? And they're having a mental break seeing the fact that they have to go from 3% to 5%, but they're not opposed to it.
Well, I'm going to
Because they're
confirm.
sitting on stacks of paper.
I'm going to confirm you're right. I just looked because I take a picture of every week over week. I looked at this same exact week a year ago. 85 units were on the market versus 57. So you're 1,000% correct. Pending was 94. This is 88. So we're not that far off on pending.
But as we grind through that, this is kind of what we have. Inventory is a living organism. It has to come back for everybody to be able to operate in a way that really makes sense. To get away from this insanity of you're making the biggest purchase of your life. Well, can I get somebody in to see if the roof's leaking? You buy the house or you don't buy the house. That's like not the planet that we want to live on.
Is that kind of like a Seinfeld? No soup for you?
Yeah, no soup for you.
That was a good one. Inventory is a living organism. Please turn that into a sizzle reel, please.
Well,
And let's close with the Seinfeld reference at the end. That one was fantastic.
Yeah.
So the topic we're asking right now, is it easier for the first-time home buyer to buy a house right now? And the reason we're asking is because rates are a little bit higher, or during the early stages of COVID when rates were very, very low, but there was increased competition.
So I'm just looking at it from a year ago, right? A year ago, let's just pick it this same week.
That's good. Yeah.
This same week a year ago, I think it was harder for first-time home buyers
A year ago.
no
doubt.
I 100% agree.
than it is
100% agree
now.
with that.
Except, I think we need to, unfortunately, break first-time home buyers into different categories now.
Okay. So let's talk about first-time home buyers who, at the time, had the ability to make a down payment and pay their closing costs and potentially get involved in a waive and appraisal gap. That guy could go buy whatever he wanted. That guy was hitting it out of the park.
Person. Person.
Gal.
But-
that human was crushing.
How many first-time home buyers embody those qualities?
A small percentage.
Very
of them.
small percentage.
Now, what we're getting back into is the ability to go, for instance, I've got somebody who went past the date on the home inspection to make any kind of request or whatnot, but they had some feelings. Them and the agent had some feelings together because I don't know how well they communicated on what that timeline was, but the bottom line was they were looking for an out. They expressed that, the agent expressed that to the other agent, hey, look, they're unhappy, they're looking for an out, and they said, and the listing agent said, well, we don't want to take this off and go back on the market. They want $3,000. Here's your $3,000, and everybody's happy. And we're seeing more of that. Whereas a year ago, they would have said, "Cool, we'll take it off and list it for $20,000 more than what it was."
Well, so we've been talking
Scott,
about.
you're bringing it right now. I like it.
We've been talking, and I apologize to everybody. I have not had time to charge my hearing aids, so I'm watching lips here with folks talking. So you're 100% right. And so I apologize if I jumped over you on that. So you're 100% right. We talked about this a couple of months ago. My side of the table and your side of the table and everybody else's side, our level of professionalism has to raise up because this, we are dealing with home inspection contingencies, which we haven't dealt with a year ago, right? We're dealing.
Maybe 18 months.
Yes, sir. And we're dealing with stuff that you need certain amount of skill sets to go ahead and get it. And this is what they were talking about for the 3 or 4 days we were out in San Diego about where the market's going and where the professionalism is going to go in the industry on that end of it. But I think the point I was trying to make is I think you're going to see the first-time home buyers kind of get split into a couple of different categories, unfortunately. There's going to be folks that they just can't do it. Then there's going to be a group of folks that have enough cash, have a good enough credit, that have saved it up, that can go and be a first-time home buyer. And as we looked at Lake Monticello, the number of units are so small, homes are so small, you don't need a huge pool of buyers to meet that. Is that making any sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the third group?
The third group is people that have cash, and that you don't see a lot of that.
In that category.
In that category.
Scott,
Go ahead.
No,
You're
no,
not seeing,
go
you're
ahead.
not seeing
Yeah.
investors, though, come in. I don't know, at least I'm not anymore. I think that investor at that price point is kind of
Well, I mean, if you're an
going away.
investor, and Scott, I want to get Scott's take here because he was about to say something smart here, and I want to hear what he has to say. But if you're an investor, why would you not jump on? I'm just spitballing here with you guys here, doing some back
The
of the
240
napkin.
property?
Yeah, dude. There's 260 here, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Each of these bedrooms probably rents for what? $750 a room. I mean, you're looking at $2,250 on a $260,000 mortgage.
Yeah, but it's
that
been-
mortgage is what?
It's been on 40 days. What else is wrong with it? Like
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Okay, there you go.
Like
That's
if
fair.
you're an investor and it was the money, then you'd say, hey, look, let's go get it. But if
Or did we cap out on rent, right?
Well, what's the rent? What's the rent for, Lake Monticello better than anybody? What's the rent for free?
I'm looking it up right now as you speak.
There's a 245 on Jefferson Drive, Scott, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's not big. We're talking 1,200 square feet. It's a rancher, right? I mean, 245. A mortgage on 245 with rates, we call it at 5. I mean, that's probably what? $1,400 a month? $1,500 a month?
what's the price point?
245? Depending obviously what you put down. So
Yeah.
you put 20% down right there. Say you put 10% down. You're probably looking at $1,400 a month there.
Yeah, probably closer to 16 with everything, all escrows, all.
So
Yeah.
I don't think the math's going to work because I'm looking at what's available. So everybody understands the car rental is not really as good as the
No.
purchase end of it. Just there's 4 that popped up that are 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. They're ranging between $1,700 and $2,000.
So it covers.
But it doesn't because you've got the HOA to put in there, right? So if you're doing a $1,600 a month PITI, the delta's not wide enough. Yon and I having the same conversation about maybe should we buy more investment property, and the delta just isn't there.
I'll play devil's advocate with you. For year one, I mean, you're cash flow positive on these properties in year one, and then you're popping your rent 4% every year.
Okay, or Lake Monticello Homeowners Association decides to do a special
assessment,
assessment.
that could happen,
and,
sure.
Yeah, I think, from our perspective, unless you put a lot of cash down, I don't think there's enough delta there for that. I may be wrong.
What's on the brain over there, Scott? Anywhere you want to go?
So I was kind of thinking, it looked like the 240, 40 days on market property. Like, that's.
You think it's scarlet lettered because it has 40 days of DOM?
I don't think it's scarlet lettered. I think it's scarlet. I mean, I think there's
something wrong with it. Yeah, that's what he thinks. 40 days of DOM in this market is
At
what
that
the heck's
price,
going on
at that price point,
yeah.
because everybody who can
So it's
qualify
260,
for it-
not 240.
Okay, at 260. At 260, everybody who can't qualify for it is reaching out to their agent or the lender going, yo, what, I want to buy this. And everybody's going, well, I'm sure you want to buy this, but. So, that's the question.
Or let's play devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show. Because there's a handful of ones that are under 300 at the lake right now. And anything under 300.
Oh, okay. I just read the listing. There's some other issue back in the back of it. Conventional loans and cash are the likely only routes to this property.
Okay, but there's others that are in that price range.
I like the conventional loans only until an appraiser goes out there and says, hey, this, and this have to actually be fixed for the property to be livable for whatever safety issues. And then it's like, well, this is a conventional appraisal. I didn't think we'd have to deal with that. And it's like, well, yeah,
Well, that just tells me there's something
wrong
else,
with the property. Yeah.
which is echoing what you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's 5 things, right? Location, price, features, condition. And timing.
Devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show, and because there are a handful that are in that $200,000 range at the lake, and not just one. Could it be an indication of the market cooling at that price point and/or the neighborhood?
I don't think so. As I'm looking at the back end of that particular thing, there's something else going on. The on that end of it. There's other. I think that there's another issue there that nobody knows about at this table at the moment.
Anything you want to throw in there before we get off
It's
this
not
one?
indicative of the market overall.
Yeah, Yeah,
Okay.
I would cheers to that, and yeah, agreed.
So we have opportunity, guys, besides that property at Lake Monticello, a place where folks have had success in the past. Neil Williamson has shared the link for the donation site.
Please,
Keith,
please donate.
as you asked. Bill McKenzie, welcome to the program. A number of folks saying, welcome back, Keith,
Thank
to
you.
the show.
Thank you. I'm excited
Johnny
to be back.
Ornalis says, I'm with Keith, not enough Delta. I have looked at properties in the same deal.
Yeah.
You've looked at this house, Johnny?
I don't know, but I mean, I can just speak to us personally. We're trying to grow we only have one, and we're trying to grow that if we can do it. And unless, it's all cash, that the money the delta just isn't there per month.
Travis has got something for the panel, and he's watching in Danville. Travis, we like when you watch the show. Keith, the housing crisis is affecting every community across the U.S. What is your advice to communities where the cost to build exceeds the valuation of homes in the area where most of the buildable lots land are located? It's a great question.
Well, first of all, he's right. I just spent 2 weeks, or almost a little over 2 weeks, on the West Coast, looking between Portland, Seattle, and San Diego, looking at that, and everybody that we spoke to with the team of folks there on this national cohort that I'm part of is exactly the same. It's every town, every city. And I apologize, my hearing aids did not pick up the second part of the question.
He says, what is your advice to communities where the cost to build exceeds the valuation of homes in the area where most of the buildable lots land are located?
So, in the development world, density is key, right? That's 101. So part of what we've been talking about here locally, and they've implemented out in the western states, is implementing this missing middle scenario. I actually posted a quick little video where it was in Seattle. They were taking single-family detached homes that were built in the 30s and the 40s and building four units on there. So that's how they were able to, more units you can put per square lot or foot or whatever you want to call it. It will help drive the numbers down. Typically, the largest, and I think this is what Travis is referring to, price of windows go up and down, lumber goes up and down, but usually the most expensive thing is the dirt, is acquiring the land to put it on. That's the reason why the land trust has been so successful, because we're taking the land out of that equation.
Johnny Ornalis
Hey, Johnny.
says, I've looked into different properties for investment and the numbers don't work out for me right now at the moment. Why don't we run the back of the napkin model on an investment property like that? Because it's getting some buzz on the feed. If you want to call the back of the napkin a $300,000 price point, call it like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and what thresholds need to be hit for you guys as businessmen to pursue a rental investment. I'd love to hear the numbers that you guys need. I think the viewers and listeners want the same thing. In fact, let's turn this maybe into a sizzle reel that people can appreciate. Do you want to go first, Scott, on this, or Keith, do you want to go first?
Definitely. But I'd prefer if we we could set it up for next week and really hit home on different areas for what the rental market's bringing along with, and that way we could outline some, properties, and rather than, if I spitball on air and then, I just don't want to miss it, and
Sure, no problem.
I'd rather give accurate information. But back to what we were just talking about with...
I don't have a problem with guessing. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
The builder, building where the cost to build exceeds your existing by a large margin. So I shared something on social a couple weeks ago, and conceptually this goes against everything I believe in politically, but I think there's a massive need for it as far as if the government is going to step in and support something inside of the housing market, aside from the ways that they constantly get stuff wrong, subsidizing small to mid-sized builders, not Orion Homes, not something owned by Syntex or Lennar or D.R. Horton, push those companies aside and say, or say that, or make them bust up into smaller and play the tax game to say, if you're building 30 homes or less a year, and whatever it is, there's too many key components to the trades that we already are missing. Carpenters, plumbers, electricians, and that now you've got a lot of plumbers and electricians that succeed in service work, but those that can also actually go in and rough in and help build these houses, there's just not enough humans who with that skilled labor, and that's a huge component piece to the builder, and it from a cost perspective in making things tick-tock. So it's not just the cost of the land. It's not just this. The labor side and skilled labor is a deficiency that we've had for going on 20 years that then got exponentially worse after the last housing crisis because all of those people got out of the work or there was no you don't have a lot of young skilled carpenters being taught carpentry. They come in because, they show up with no driver's license or truck and, saying, hey, dude, I need a job. And then you hope that you can build them into something that you need them to be over time. And then if the hose gets turned off on the ability to build these homes, they stop that and they go do something else and they never come back.
Well, that's what happened in the time of Great Unpleasant.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exasperated the problem that we're in right now. And it's not just that.
Because everybody was said, go get a 4-year degree. Oh, by the way.
That's been happening since the 1970s.
Every single conversation I had on the West Coast, from my son-in-law who's a doctor, my daughter who's a master's degree teacher on the end of it, the classes that we were taking, the conversations I was having with the planning departments in Portland, in Seattle, and the land trust people, everybody I was doing for these almost 3 weeks, it was the number one thing was the loans, the student loans.
That
was always on top of the conversation.
I don't want to get into that. What I'm talking about is,
but I wanted to wrap that in because back in the time, because we were all part of it. Some of us way more than others as far as skin in the game, how it infected their life. But everybody was told, go. They were telling me at 40-something, well, stop what you're doing. We're going to give you all this money to go to college.
Sure. Well, that goes into the.
I was like, well, how am I going to pay it back?
So what I'm telling you is that's the fact that an 18-year-old can go and in the course of 6 years with a graduate degree go 6 figures into debt or
Lee Alberson, to your point, Lee Alberson came on this show and he said he had to fill out 2 sheets of paper.
That's exactly right.
To go 6 figures in debt. And then he said when he bought his house, which is next to your brother-in-law, close to your brother-in-law, he had to spend 45 days of going through the ringer.
Well, I have to tell you.
Explain that to me. 2 pieces of paper for your John Hancock when you're in your late teens.
Dude, I get that, but again,
and then
separate
45
problems.
days to buy a
I'm
crib.
saying all the money that goes into some of these bills and all the things that the government wants to do, instead of focusing or thinking about the cost to build a high-speed rail system, what if we were to focus on getting humans into homes by making sure that small builders in time to slow down could continue to build homes that would employ people and in turn keep a housing market more affordable at the bottom end.
Well said.
Well, that's
too much common sense is needed for that, Scott. That's the problem. It's too much common sense.
And then it gets into this. Well, who do we favor or not? I'm.
You don't build because you. How about this? You.
How about just making the rules easier, right? How about just making it turning?
But to Scott's point, how can we build more houses that are affordable if there's not enough people that build them? And because there's not enough people that build them, they're paid wages that drive the cost of housing up.
So magically,
and that's not going to get solved anytime soon.
So magically, left hand, what you're saying, and I don't disagree with this at the moment. Magically, on the left hand, the government comes up with some program, missing middle, whatever it is. It comes up with the regulatory ability to do that. Right hand is you can't find anybody to work because there's not the training programs in between. An example of that is we're representing 3 listings I'm trying to close the end of this month that now have home inspections in it, and I can't find people to do the work.
There you go.
Now, the good news is, everybody's going to laugh, I do have a tool belt, and I do have a Class A license.
You're not going to do the work.
If I have to, I will. These are small little items that I just can't find anybody to come in to do it. I'll do what I need to do to make it close on that end of it, or we're going to have to delay closing, or money's going to have to go in escrow, which is a pain in the rear end on that end of it. So the lowest price Lake Monticello, I have a calculator here built into my Paragon.
And you have multiple people asking you to do the back of the napkin.
Yeah.
For the rental.
So all I'm doing is PI at the moment and not TI, because this won't evaluate that. A $245,000 purchase at a 30-year loan. What do you think? 5.5% on an investment.
He said it's lower. Well, investment's going to be higher.
Investment's going to be higher.
Yeah.
So 5.5, 6,
Six and a quarter.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me 6 and a quarter. To Johnny Analysis point and my point, just the PI, now that's not putting any money down, we're going to have to change that a little bit, is 1508. So even if you borrow, you put $45,000 down, hold on a second, folks. That's 1231. That doesn't include your interest, your taxes, your insurance, or your HOA, putting any money in reserve.
Slush fund.
Putting money in reserve for maintenance items, yada, yada, yada. The delta just isn't there. You're going to have to, on a 245, you're going to have to bring $100,000 to the table, right?
To get it at a monthly price point. What's the price point out of the gates if you stick with the numbers you had? What are you down? A couple $100 a month?
I'm down if I'm putting 45,000, and this is not including closing costs, by the way, which is going to be 3% of all this. 200,000, 30-year mortgage at 6.25, assuming that's the rate that you get on an investment property, is 1231.
What price point are we talking about?
200K, but that's just P&I.
I was using 300K. I'm coming up with 2178, and that's counting using the lake with a $90 a month HOA. 10% down.
And what was the number?
Let's say $2,200.
Yeah, and if it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
And you said the market for that is $1,750 to $2,000.
Again, Paragon is not good at the rental end of it, but I've done enough research on.
So we know the rental market. I mean, you're looking at probably $750 a bedroom there. I mean, it's called $650 a bedroom over there. You have a little bit of drive.
Even if you're at break even, you just took how much? 10%, $30,000. And in it. Now, if that's where you want to be and you're in it for long haul.
It depends on where you're at in your life.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
He's basically saying, can you get better ROI with that money than freezing it in a house? And
I believe in property ownership, right?
Me too.
I believe in it.
So does he.
But I just think the whole reason we got into this conversation is I think the investor component is not as strong as it was back a year ago. So not only, that's the reason why.
Rates go up.
That's the reason why I think certain first-time home buyers are in a better position right now. We're seeing it on the representation of buyers and listers. We're not seeing a lot of investors coming in with a pot full of cash or great 3% investment loans that they only have to put 10% down. It's just the math just isn't working right now, which is good because that frees up homes for anything that can increase.
Hey, and I'm sorry, I did that 10%. We're talking investment should have been 20. So let's say $1,950, $1,900.
With $60,000 plus another 3%, another 10 grand.
Yeah.
Right.
And closing.
So you're at $70,000 cash out of your pocket. The ROI is going to take a long time to catch up that with a couple $100 a month if you can do that.
Yeah.
And again, I think investment property owning is a great thing.
I know you do.
But that's where you and I are at. We're just going to have to build up more cash reserves. And go ahead.
Johnny says he loves he's looked into different properties for investment and numbers don't work for him right now. So he's actively looking right now. J.O.
And the thing is, Johnny, you're not going to see prices drop, right? You're not going to see.
You've seen price reductions.
No, so.
Whoa.
Yeah,
all right.
I'll let you answer that.
Time out. We're seeing price reductions.
Quite a few of them.
And the reason that we're seeing them is because you're seeing.
Sellers with wrong expectations.
Bingo.
Yeah.
But.
Sellers who miss the crazy market.
So I want to look at what's sold.
But those reductions, this isn't like, it's not like, oh wow, here come the deals. It's, okay, we're not getting 10% more than what we were last year. We're getting 3% more than we were last year, or in the last 6 months. Last year, we were talking about the market moving so fast that appraisers couldn't keep up, and like where do we go from here, and all these things. That's not the conversation we're having. Now we're going, why can't I get, if they got 650 last year, why can't I get 725?
Yeah.
It's like, because
not
that's
last
not
year.
the planet that we live. It's just not.
Not
That's
Not
not the
even
way
last
things-
year, like 3 months ago.
Right.
4 months ago. Quentin Beckham made this point, did a good job of making this point, QB. You have Jamie Turner watching the program right now, the mayor of Gordonsville, repping the PEP. He says he loves Southern Virginia for investment property. Jamie Turner, you should connect with Travis Hackworth. In fact, I will connect you guys. Oh, Travis beat me to it. He says, come on down to Danville. Great opportunities right now. These two dudes are connecting. Jamie Turner will invest Travis Hackworth.
So I just did some quick sales numbers, right? What have sold so far this third quarter? Closed Lake Monticello, right? Forget about the number of units. I'm just looking at dollars. The median close price this last 45 days is $335. Same 45 days last year was $291.
Exactly. This is not a reduction. This is just a decrease in the acceleration or the appreciation of price.
Which you guys have been consistent on. You've been consistent on. And I talked to remodelers who watch this program, and they even said, look, if we're going to remodel your house, it's going to be exponentially more costly to do so now than it was 2 years ago. So a lot of these home values are going to persevere because of this. And you look at new construction, Scott, a home half the size is selling for exponentially more. So to your point, the existing values will persevere and preserve, and they're not going to erode. Inflation also helps fortify those price points, because if you're going to build something, it just ain't cheap these days.
Well, not just, from the multiple points on that. One, even as you see commodities come down, so your lumber, your metals, your all of those things, but we're seeing a steady increase in wages. So true wage inflation is part of what allows inflation to be sticky, meaning the more that if you're paying your $15 an hour employee is now making $22 an hour, and fuel prices and all the other things that have come along with that from a demand perspective go up, and we've got landlords that have increasing rents for various reasons, that cost starts to stick, meaning that inflation doesn't come back down, but it does plateau. So that's
it just becomes the new price.
It becomes the new price. So when we look at these metrics of as inflation comes down, well, part of what we're going to see is that doesn't mean the cost of goods are coming down. That means the cost of goods are going to stop going up.
Go ahead.
But the wage inflation that's come along with that is what has allowed that price point to stick.
There you go, Scott Morris, well said. Jamie Turner, Danville, Farmville. He wants markets closer to Central Virginia or Northern Virginia. Don't pencil unless you're doing Airbnb or travel nurses. So he likes Southwestern Virginia, Jamie Turner over here.
Lake Monticello.
So some of the travel nurse companies, specifically that one of the things they do is they'll go into your investment property rental and say, hey, look, we'll pay you the rent, have decided that the Charlottesville market is too expensive, and they're starting to move over to Stanton to where if you've got investment properties over there, they'll say, hey, look, we'll pay you your $1,500 a month. You never have to worry about the tenant making the if they're not going to be the ones paying you, we're the ones paying you. We just want to fill it to get these people someplace to live as they help fill the need for the hospitals.
Yep, that's definitely happening right now. Keith Smith.
First quarter, Lake Monticello, median sales price was $313.
Okay.
So far, the half of this quarter, median sales price is $335.
What's second quarter?
Excuse me?
What was Q2?
Okay. I need to get back to you
No
on that.
problem, no problem. So to your point, the prices are not dropping.
The prices are not
you're
dropping,
saying.
but let me go ahead and get second quarter.
Yeah,
second quarter
to his point, the prices are not dropping. So it gets back to the question, is it easier or more affordable, different word, how about not just the first-time home buyer, in general? Is it more affordable to buy a home right now than it was a year ago? A year ago, you had a bonanza of buyers and low interest rates. Now, that bonanza of buyers has depleted or diminished, but rates are much higher. So how about now?
So we've qualified that values are higher now than they were a year ago, but they're not moving up as quickly, which is good. So the easy answer is it was more affordable a year ago than it is today. Interest rates are higher, the price point is higher.
Keith Smith?
Second quarter, 315.
315?
So there was a mild
So it went
jump.
from 313 to 315.
There's a mild jump first to second.
Jamie Turner says, thank you, Scott. I'm going to look in Stanton now for that investment property.
Hey,
So you're, look at that, the source of the source, Scott Morris. Go ahead, Keith Smith.
We're roughly 20K over second quarter.
That's great.
So the prices are not going down. They're just not going up as phonetically.
quickly.
What's that word I want to hear? Phonetically?
This gets back to your
phonetically? I don't think
No,
phonetically.
your
Phonetic-
escalator elevator analogies.
That's right.
You use that one often. It's very applicable right here, Keith.
Yeah, so we're instead of doing a high-speed elevator, we're just doing an escalator, and us old folks are sitting to the right, which we just came through a bunch of airports, and the young people are zipping by us on the thing. But yeah, so it's just slowly moving up, and that's what everybody's always wanted. We've talked about this until we've all been blue in the face. Nobody wanted this huge growth. Nobody in the industry. The sellers benefited from it, for sure, but they didn't. They may have benefited it, but they couldn't buy anything. And
The chart should always look like the Price is Right mountain climber thing, like a nice, steady, my guy's going up, not like this rocket to the moon.
One of my favorite things of faking sick while in school and playing hooky was The Price is Right, followed by The Young and the Restless on CBS.
Bob
Just
Barker
a great
was
afternoon.
bringing it. Bob Barker bringing it.
Bob Barker and the beautiful babes.
I
associated with
learned
Bob
that he's
Barker.
from Seattle 2 days ago. I did not know that.
I will never forget Bob Barker and Happy Gilmore.
Happy
Going
Gilmore.
toe to toe when Adam Sandler gives him a punch to the face. No, Bob Barker drops Adam Sandler, right?
Yeah.
Barker drops Sandler.
Yeah.
After Sandler dropped one of the best lines ever, but that's not for this talk show. Remember that line?
The price is wrong.
Yeah, and we'll leave it at that, Scott Morris. I love Scott Morris. We have a lot in common. All right, Keith Smith, my friend. Talk to us about this question right here. This is a really good question, actually. This is what I love from the viewers and listeners.
need
Grayson has this question for the panel. So, as the market has cooled a bit and the buyer has a little bit more leverage, will we see the return of the domino deal in today's market? That's a great question.
That's a great question.
We should outline what a domino deal is first.
So
You wanna
the
do
short
that?
the short answer is yes, because we're dealing with 3 or 4 of them right now.
Yeah.
So
That's a great question, right?
Yeah. So what a domino? So back to
The home contingency is back.
Yeah.
So back to Scott's comment a year ago, that you wouldn't even say those words, right? But now you're starting to say these words. Look, I need to sell my house so I can buy Jerry's house.
That's the domino deal. So before I can buy a house, I have to sell my house to take the money from my sale to buy the next one. Go ahead, Keith.
So this goes back to skills that you need on this side of the table, on Scott's and our side of the table, because typically it's more than 1 deep. Typically it's two deep, and some of them are 3 deep, and some of them are 4 deep.
Explain that.
So what that means is I have to sell my house to buy Jerry's, and Scott is buying my house, but he's selling his house, which is contingent on Judah buying Scott's house. So if Judah doesn't perform, he can't perform, I can't perform, we're not buying your house.
That's right.
That is that is a tremendous amount of skill to navigate that.
So I'm seeing some things like,
Did I explain that halfway decent?
Yes.
You did.
I'm seeing some things like, well, we're willing to do that, but this seller needs to reduce that price, or if it's going to market, what are you selling it for? We don't like that number. We want to see enough activity so it gets done, and this isn't something this isn't something you list. This is something you sell.
So though we're experts in our market, what this whole domino deal is happening is we now need to trade. so whoever's representing you on selling your house now needs to start tracing these contracts back, right? And they're going to end up back at Judah's contract, and then we're going to have to say Judah's selling it
It's the DNA of the sales
somewhere
process.
in the Midwest.
Which all goes back to trusted advisors, real professionals, people who can shoot, move, and communicate, and make sure that, hey, look,
Simplify.
I can promise you that things are solid here, and I'm not going to fail you.
So is the domino deal back? It sounds like it is.
We're working with a couple of listings that have domino deals, and to Scott's point, and I said this before I went on my sabbatical. Let's call it that.
You did go on a sabbatical. My wife said, I feel like I haven't seen Keith in some time. Literally said that this morning.
Well,
he's back. He's back.
Well, like I said, there's an open invitation for dinner for the two couples, 3 couples actually.
Dude, we can't get out of our own way at my house. I appreciate the offer.
You remember when it was like when we had a 4-year-old. But we appreciate the invitation.
Well, the invitation's on the table.
Nevertheless.
We'll engage.
I think both Scott and I don't mean to speak for my homie over here, are very envious of your freedom and your opportunity, that your empty nester freedom over there.
Well,
you've earned it, my friend.
Well, but really, do I?
What do you mean?
I just got a phone call on the way in. I've got to go help out grandkids in October up in Connecticut because they can't find somebody to watch. So,
Dang.
it's different. It's the same, but it's different, right?
You're winning Grandpa of the Year over here.
You can no, I don't know a single grandpa that wouldn't do that, right?
Fair.
So you get X, and it becomes.
You've met Barry, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Barry is my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot.
I love dearly, but
any grandfather that I ever met, except for his father. but look, so it becomes different, right? We're getting plans already that when our youngest daughter gives birth in January, there's weeks that we've been said, this is when you have to come out and help. They didn't say it that way. So not only do we have to do that, do you know how expensive it is to fly cross country these days?
How expensive?
It's expensive.
For the amazing service that you receive through that process, you'd think.
But I wouldn't give this up for anything. So where were we at? I lost it.
We were talking domino deals.
And
you had very poignant perspective there.
Yeah, so, back to what Scott was saying, I am so excited about the market right now and our business and how things are going to go in the future because you need these skills. There's a lot of agents out there that haven't been in the market long enough, right, that has been in the market for a couple of years that don't know how to navigate a 4 or 5 domino deal. And they can go deeper than that. I mean, they can keep on going on that end of it. I don't think we're going to see too many of that. We have 1 4 deep, but most of them are 2 deep on it at the moment, and you need to navigate that. I need to communicate with Judah's agent and wherever Judah's coming from and saying, okay, let me see the contract, tell me where you're at, give me your market stats, because and if I'm representing you, I'm not going to go ahead and say, Jerry, you don't want to get into that contract because that is on shaky ground. Right? And if that falls apart, that's going to fall apart. Mine's going to fall apart. I think we need to keep on waiting for a better opportunity to go forward.
Keith Smith, dropping knowledge today. Another question's coming for you. What was the highlight of the trip to Seattle, specifically from a housing standpoint?
It can't be spending time with my daughter, right?
Well, we're talking housing.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a wonderful family. We know that.
It was great to actually walk through projects that we mapped out on the back of a napkin, literally in early 2018, that actually got built. Right, there's actual combination, and it's a long story that I don't think we have a lot of time to get into it, but where this missing middle combined with the land trust was able to produce units that everybody won. Right, the missing middle got built. There was market rate homes plus the affordable housing buyer, the housing affordability with the land trust model happened, and in this these single-family detached lots where there were 4 or 6 units being built. There were anywhere between 1 to 2 to 3, depending on the property, of affordable housing in the middle of a pretty hot market in the city of Seattle and Portland. So that was exciting. It actually works.
Well, it's good to have you back in the
Yep.
saddle. Scott Morris, for the viewers and listeners, any closing thoughts?
No, I mean, good show today.
Yeah, great show today.
Glad to see everybody. Glad to have the gang back together.
Yeah, the band's back,
The
huh?
band is back. I like it.
And
I missed the band.
Yeah, that's about it.
Scott
So
joins
do I
us
have
on
to grow a
Wednesdays.
beard, or am I okay with passing on it?
Yeah,
You have a
you're-
mustache.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You look sharp.
I've had this since '85.
Yeah. You may win the bet.
Oh, oh, yeah.
Next summer.
Yeah, so,
We're less than a year
yeah,
from the bet with Neil.
yeah, I've got to make a few phone calls this week to some folks over in the process, but it doesn't seem like they're moving as rapidly as they need to be
Gosh.
moving.
Yeah. Slow moving. Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners, Scott Morris, Ross Mortgage, Judah Wickhauer is the director. My name is Jerry Miller. This show, Real Talk with Keith Smith, presented by Ross Mortgage and powered by Yes Realty Partners. Find them online, guys, both of them, and all the shows archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. The I Love Seville show is up in 1 hour. Thank you kindly for joining us. We will see you guys very shortly. Take care. Well done, gentlemen.
Yeah, had a great time.
Yeah, I like the direction that went.
You know, when